Our daily Bible reading for January 3rd. Our reading today comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 2. Matthew, chapter 2, we begin reading in verse 16 down through verse 23. Then Herod, when he saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, became furious, and he sent and killed all the male children in Bethlehem and in all that region who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had ascertained from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping in loud lamentation. Rachel, weeping for her children, she refused to be comforted, because they are no more. But when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead. And he rose, and took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. And he went and lived in a city called Nazareth, so that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene. A few thoughts for today. When we think of the providence of God, it is hard to imagine all that he does to care for his own. We may think he simply removes all obstacles, yet a closer look reveals that those detours he may place in our way are as pertinent as those he removes. It is not always about a smooth road. From this time on in Jesus' life, we will only hear of one incident until he reaches his time to fulfill his mission at age 30. He will spend his time in an obscure village far from the reach of the power-hungry Herodian family. As a crow flies, Nazareth lies about 70 miles or so from Jerusalem. It would be this distinction as a Nazarene that sets him apart. By this, the inscription was made on the cross. We read in John 19:19, Pilate also wrote an inscription and put it on the cross. It was written, Jesus, the Nazarene, the King of the Jews. And by this he introduced himself to Saul of Tarsus on the road to Damascus in Acts 22:8. And I answered, Who are you, Lord? And he said to me, I am Jesus, the Nazarene, whom you are persecuting. The prophecy referenced here, to be a Nazarene in that culture was to be an outsider. Had he lived in Jerusalem, he would have been accepted. But as it is, he was rejected, just as the prophets had foretold, as we read in Isaiah 53:3. He was despised and forsaken of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we did not esteem him. We also read in Psalms 22:6, But I am a worm and not a man, a reproach of men and despised by the people. And again in Daniel 9:26, then after 62 weeks, the Messiah will be cut off and have nothing. While this is certainly true of the culture of the first century, further digging in the Old Testament reveals another side to this term, Nazarene. The root word of this town, Nazarene, Natsar, comes from the same root word we find in the Old Testament book of Isaiah. The root word means branch. In Isaiah 11:1 we read, There shall come forth a shoot from the stump of Jesse, and a branch from his roots shall bear fruit. And again in Jeremiah 23:5 we read, Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he shall reign as king and deal wisely, and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. There are other passages that we read again of this branch that is to come. In Jeremiah 33:15, Zechariah 3:8, and Zechariah 6:12. All speak of that branch of the line of David. A question of the day. What distinctions do we adhere to that differ from those of other regions of the country or world? And finally, a thought to meditate on this day. Think of times you couldn't imagine a situation that would have a desired outcome, yet in the end had unintended good consequences. Those are our thoughts for today, January 3rd.